All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another stream on the channel, and welcome back to While You Press the Button. This is a game that I've done like a year and a half ago, and it's been a long time since I played this game, but you know what? I got that itch to play this game again, and if you don't know what it is, the game is very simple, and it looks very simple because, doesn't look like there's much to it. I'm literally on a web browser clicking a game, but the reason why I love this game is it gives me very interesting scenarios, and it gets me talking about very interesting things. So basically, the concept of the game is very simple, is will you press the button? Well, will you? And the context is this, where you're given a scenario, and if I push the button, I have to accept the scenario, and this happens, but there's always a consequence. And that's why I really like this game, because it causes some interesting conversations, and there's a lot of, nuance and subjectivity with these questions. And I don't know, I just love talking if you haven't already seen already. So, and the first question we got, I already like, because I feel like it already gets me talking about some very interesting stuff, is you can travel through time at all times, but you can't interact with the past or the future. So this is very interesting, and I very love that this is the first scenario that we got, because this one speaks to me already. Because if you ask, Dakota or any of the friend group, I've said that if I could have any superpower, it would be something related to time manipulation. They give me shit because I say that, I want my superpower to be like, time manipulation, like being able to like, go forward in time and like see the future, but also I want to be able to like go back in time. I want to have like time powers that give me shit because that's too like overpowered. I'm basically immortal, and I'm basically able to like, you know, handle and, manage physics to, what I want to do. But it's superpowers at the end of the day. Isn't that what superpowers are all about? And why, if you're given a chance to have any superpower, why would you choose a bad one? And to me, I like the time manipulation powers like that, because everyone wants to like super strength or be able to fly. And I think time is very cool. And it's something that it's not unique, but it's not something you would immediately go to like, yeah, everyone wants super speed, everyone wants super strength, everyone wants flight. I feel like you could ask 10, 15 people, they would all say super strength before one person like me says they want time powers. So that's my logic. But anyways, we're getting off track. So you can travel through time at all times, but you cannot interact with the past or the future. So basically, what that means is I'm able to, go forward in time. I'm able to see the future, but I'm not able to interact with it. And to me, that's fine. That's worth it. I don't have a problem with that, right? Because here's my thing. If I cannot interact with the past, that's fine. I totally accept it, because I don't even know if I would want to interact with the past because of the whole, butterfly effect. And, sure, I've made mistakes, and, I was very dumb at times in my life. And you know what? I'm fine with that. And I'm totally cool with that. I accept all my mistakes. And honestly, the mistakes that I've made early on in my life molded me into the person that I am today, talking to you. And honestly, I feel like I wouldn't change the person that I am today. So I don't have a problem with not being able to change the past. Because chances are, if we change the past, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now on camera, which is very bizarre. But I wouldn't be doing this right now if we change the past. And then with the future, I think that's also fine, not being able to change the future. I feel like I would only want to go forward in the future and then see, especially with the age of, robots and the, you know, reliance on artificial intelligence now. I want to see if, in the next like 20, 30 years, do we have like a Terminator or Cyberpunk, situation where everything is AI and the AI overlords are superior to humanity and we're in like some dystopia in like 30 years. And if that's the case, I know up until that 30-year mark, I can mentally prepare myself for the next 30 years up until that point of the AI overlord apocalypse. So I'm going to press that button. I don't have a problem with that. I see no downside. And 75% of the people agree with me. So that's a good 75%. The person of your dreams falls in love with you, but you stop loving that person. Okay, so here's my thing with this one. The person of your dreams falls in love with you, but you stop loving that person. I'm not going to press that button because it doesn't really matter. Because hear me out. You stop loving that person kind of gets into my point of why I'm not going to press that button, because the person of your dreams can be, you know, a crush or could be a celebrity or somebody like that, but that may not mean that they're the right person for you, right? You can have a person of your dreams and you think that, oh, we'll be in a great relationship together, but they could be superficial or they could, you know, not have good chemistry with you, or you know, their interests and, you know, the way they view life could be totally different from how you view life. So the person of your dreams, it may not be the right person for you. So I'm not going to press that button. But the person of your dreams falls in love with you, but you stop loving that person. No, I'm not going to press that button because, again, person of your dreams is nice, but they may not be the right person for you. You can now read and control people's minds, but every time you use this power, you have a 10% chance of developing cluster headaches. They disappear after 30 minutes. So I'm Psyduck from Pokemon. Is that what it? That's basically what it is. Is I'm Psyduck from Pokemon, where I have like reading people's minds. I have mind powers, but I get a headache every time I use it. So I'm Psyduck from Pokemon. Okay, but you can read people's minds. Every time you use this power, you have a 10% chance of developing cluster headaches. This will be after 30 minutes. Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, a 10% chance isn't that high. So that means a 90% chance I don't develop a cluster headache. So that's one. Two, they disappear after 30 minutes. That is also not bad either. Because personally, when I get a headache, it doesn't happen often, but when I get a headache, personally, they last a lot longer. Sorry about that. I'm talking too much. But anyways, but when I get a headache, they last a lot longer than 30 minutes. They can last for the whole day at times. So I don't see a problem with the 10% chance in the 30 minutes, but to me, those are minute points. They don't really matter. Well, what I'm really focused on is the first point where it's like, do I want to be able to read people's minds? And again, this is why I love this game. That's why I said in the intro, I love this game because it gets very, very interesting scenarios and it gets you talking about very subjective stuff of it's like, wait, do you actually want this? Because do you actually want to read people's minds? Because on one hand, I feel like reading people's minds would be very, very cool because, you know, if, you know, you're around people, you can read people's minds. And if they are, you know, feeling sad or they're feeling down about themselves, you can read their mind and you can say something positive to uplift them, you know, put them in a good mood. And then, you know, you can also read people's minds for knowing the people who like to be around you. But then on the flip side, the other side of the coin, that can also be problematic because if you read people's minds, the people that you think that you're close with and, you know, think they're friendly with you, they're actually being two-faced and they don't actually like you. And that could really suck your soul a little bit where it's like, oh, it was a big, you know, stab in the back where you felt like these people who, you know, liked you actually didn't really like you. And I don't know if you would want to know that. So I'm not actually, I'm going to press the button because 10% isn't a lot of time, but I'm very curious what you guys would say, whether you would want to read people's minds or not, or shut up, ad. If you agree with my point where it's like, you don't want to read people's minds because you have the chance of people thinking that that like you, they actually don't. And I don't know if you would want to have that truth. But let me know your thoughts on what you think. But you get 3 wishes, but your worst enemy gets double of anything you wish for. So if I wish for unlimited wishes, then what happens? They get double unlimited wishes. That doesn't seem fair. But 2, I don't have a worst enemy. Just don't. Believe it or not, I don't have any enemies, let alone a worst enemy. But, so this doesn't appeal to me at all. But you get 3 wishes, assuming I can't do something like unlimited wishes. I'm gonna say no, simply because I don't know what my wishes would be. Or do I say yes because I don't have a worst enemy and this doesn't apply to me? You know what? I'll say yes because I want to be able to have wishes. So sure. That was a bad one. Anyways, you get an unreal heavenly singing voice. Oh, the dream. But you are prevented from talking. The only thing you can do is sing. Where's the downside? No, like legitimately tell me, where is the downside in that? I already cannot sing as it is. So I get an huge increase in talent, number 1. And 2, I feel like the videos and the streams will be a lot more entertaining if I'm singing throughout them, because that'll be way more entertaining. And, not to sound egotistical a little bit, but it can get views if you're singing all the stuff you say. So yes, where's the downside of that? That's only positive of being able to sing. That's an awesome talent. You're handed the keys to a warehouse in which you can ask for anything or receive within 24 hours. But if you press the button, you get damned straight to hell. In which you can ask for anything or receive within 24 hours. If I can ask for anything within 24 hours, can I ask to not be banished to hell for that? Can that be an option? Assuming I can't logic my way out of that. And I can't want to be unbanished from hell. That's something from the warehouse. Like, okay. But, you're handed the key store warehouse in which you can ask for anything and receive within 24 hours. Like, okay. I personally don't see a downside of this because, here's the way I'm thinking about it. You can say whatever you want about there's a heaven, there's a hell, there's not. I'm not getting into that territory comments. But here's what I'm saying. Is I'm handing the keys to a warehouse and I can ask for anything and receive within 24 hours. I can increase and optimize my life for the rest of my life. And then by the time I'm dead, well, I'm already dead. So after that point, whatever happens to my life, whether I'm in heaven or hell or anywhere, it doesn't matter at the end of the day because I'm already dead. So I'm going to say yes to that. There is one streaming service for every show and movie in existence. Oh, this is amazing in the year 2026. Okay. But it is owned by a terrible company and costs $100 a month. Oh. Okay. So here's the thing about it. I'm not focused on the owned by a terrible company. I'm focused on the $100 a month. That's a lot and that's stupid. But hear me out. In the year 2026, think about where we are as far as like entertainment and streaming. You have Netflix, you have Disney Plus, you have Hulu, you have Peacock, you have ESPN Plus, you have Paramount Plus, you have YouTube TV, you have ESPN Plus, there's Amazon Prime, there's Apple TV, Um, I'm sure there's other ones I'm forgetting, but you get my point. There's a ton of subscription services out there, and you know, people are already paying, hundreds of dollars a month because of streaming services, because there's some content that they want to watch on Netflix, but then there's other content they want to watch but is on Disney Plus or on Hulu. So they have to get a subscription to both Netflix and Disney Plus or Hulu. So instead of you separating out and going to, 10 different streaming services, having to pay 10 different subscriptions, you're paying for one and you get everything. So we're kind of already in this age of paying $100 a month for subscriptions, and it's annoying, it's stupid, and I'm fully in the camp that I disagree with that. I'm totally against this idea of, companies intentionally segregating content off that otherwise would have been free, or stuff that you would have got for free, but instead they're hiding behind a paywall because they know if I hide it behind a paywall, um people will pay for it. That's why, I'm kind of against, but it is what it is. Like, what are you going to do about it? Like, that's why I personally think it's annoying where you have subscription services like Netflix. It's probably not going to get me sponsored by Netflix, so I'm sorry. But it kind of grinds my gears when I see Netflix, when they originally came on the scene in popularity in like 2007, 2008. And nowadays, you have multiple tiers of plans of subscriptions, and then some of them are, ad free, but you have to pay more. When that wasn't what Netflix was originally when they first started, like 2007, 2008, and it was rather than Blockbuster. So I'm gonna press the button simply because instead of having to pay for all these different services, you're instead paying for one. We're already doing $100 a month subscriptions in total, anyways. So to me, it just makes it simpler. Your favorite book gets a sequel, it gets turned into a bad movie. Oh. So here's the thing. I don't read often, but when I do read, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. The original trilogy. Hold up. I'm gonna get it quick. I'm back. Don't worry. It's like I never left. But here we go. So, the books I currently read, I'm a huge FNAF fan, can't you tell? It's not like I have hundreds some videos of the series, but if when I do read, it is the original trilogy, the Silver Eyes, and then I have the Twisted Ones in the Fourth Closet. So when I do read, it's FNAF, and it gets turned into a bad movie, which, I mean, hey, you know what? It's subjective at the end of the day. Is the Five Nights at Freddy's movies good or bad? I mean, who's to say? I mean, I personally enjoy them, but I know other people are very passionate and they think otherwise. So I'm gonna press the button because this is already a reality for me. You're receiving $1 million, great, but you must live in a country currently experiencing genocide and can never leave. Oh, not good. Oh. I received $5 million, but I must live in a country currently experiencing genocide and can never leave. Oh. I mean, that's two negatives. A, the genocide part, which is terrible. And two, I can never leave. That is also terrible. So to me, it's two negatives versus one positive, which is receiving $5 million. And to me, if I were to receive $5 million, that's a good amount of money. Not complaining. But My thing is, I wouldn't want to receive the $5 million dollars if I can't use a good portion of that to help out other people and do like charitable work, right? Because, on one hand, you could use the $5 million dollars to buy these houses and buy these, nice cars and buy this like other luxury stuff just to flex or show off. But I don't need any of that stuff. Like, what does that do for you other than flex your own ego and be superficial and be an asshole, you know? So I'm going to say no because if I were to receive that kind of money, I would want to help people. So no. Shut up, ad. God. You can sing and play an instrument amazingly, but you will have your worst favorites. You'll have your least favorite song stuck in your head forever. Do I have a least favorite song? I don't know. I don't know if I have a least favorite song. I mean, there's songs I don't like, right? And songs like I would deem as like annoying. But like my least favorite song, I feel like the songs that I deem as like annoying are the ones that are overplayed. You know, like I'm trying to think of an example. Like there's some songs that you heard on the radio like 2014 to 2017, let's just say. I'm just picking random years. And you hear the same like 3-4 songs throughout, and it's like, no, I don't want to hear the same 3-4 songs, and it just gets annoying. So that would be deemed as my least favorite song. But so I'm gonna say no. You stop Hitler from killing the Jews. Okay. You have to be his indefinite servant, and if you refuse to do anything he tells you to do, he goes back. I'm assuming he goes back to killing Jews? Because that's a run-on sentence. He goes back to what? He goes back to baking a cake with his mother. He goes back to, I don't know, trying to go back into art school. I don't know. This is a terrible one. Like, and I don't, like, there's no, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes for one simple reason. Um, the Holocaust was terrible, and I don't know how many million people were affected and died to the Holocaust, but I know it was a lot. And simply preventing that from happening is a good thing, and that's where I'm ending that conversation. Will you press the button? You find a book that tells everything that would happen to you till you die. But each time you read a page falls out the book and burns, making your death come sooner. Okay, wait. You find a book that tells everything that would happen but till you die. But each time you read a page falls out the book and burns, making the death come sooner. So it's kind of the opposite. It's like the anti-Death Note. Because in Death Note, if you burn a page, you're basically preventing death from happening. So it's like the anti-Death Note. But you find a book and tells you everything that would happen till you die. How? Okay, here's a thing. Also, can I remove this? What is this anime girl shit? Stop seeing this ad. Yes. Okay, that's better. Thank you. I don't know why that was there, but thanks, ads. But anyways, here's my thing with this one. You find a book that tells you everything that would happen until you die. What specifically is the book saying? And what I'm getting at is, I'm sure I've said this in previous videos, but the age-old question is, do you want to know when you die or how you die? And my mindset has always been the same, and it's probably going to continue this way until the day happens because, hey, we all have a due date. But my mindset has always been that I would want to know when I die. Because if I know when I die, I have power and control over what happens to me. Because if I know when I die, there's two outcomes. Either the death is soon, and that is traumatic, and that is very, very scary, or it's in the year like 2080, let's just say. So if it's 2080, I'll be, let's see, carry the 4. So 54 years. So I'll be 81? Yeah, I'll be 81. Not too bad. It's just above the average lifespan, so not too bad. But so that's my way of when. Is you're able to find out the due date and you're able to plan out your life, whether how short or long it is, up until that due date. You can, take risks. You can do a bucket list. You can do all the things that you've wanted to do up until the day that you die. So then once that day comes, you can look back being like, you know what? I've lived a very fruitful, satisfying life. I've done the things that I wanted to do. So I'm ready for the, sweet death to take me. Right. But if it's how, if it's how, that to me is way worse. Because think about all the ways you can die. You can get shot. You can get stabbed. You can get choked. You can get suffocated. You can drown. You can burn to death. You can be involved in like a plane crash. You can get hit by a car. You can die of heat stroke or hypothermia. Right? Like you can get killed in a shark attack or, right? You get what I mean? Like there's so many possibilities of ways you can die. And despite all the endless possibilities of some way you can die, you're hoping for one outcome, and it's old age or cell decay. Right? That's it. So if all the just like odds and numbers of probability is all the ways you can die, you're hoping for one specific scenario. But as far as when, it's two options. It's either happening soon or it's happening at a way later date. And you're obviously hoping that's a later date. So that's why I choose when. But getting back to a question, to go back to tangent of, when versus how, and that's my perspective, that's my logic, and that's the evidence and argument I always use of why I would know when I died versus how. Because when, it gives you power and control of what to do up until that due date. But how, like, again, if it says I am dying in a car crash, that doesn't help you at all. It could literally be today, it can be tomorrow, it can be in a week, it can be a month, or it can be 50 years. But every single time you step foot outside, it could be the day. So that doesn't give you any power control of what happened to your life. And not only that, but if it's something like a car crash, that it makes it even worse because that can mean you being the driver in the car. That could mean you being a passenger. That could mean you being a pedestrian and you're involved in crossfire of a car crash. Like all those three things could happen. So that's my question to this scenario. Is I find a book that tells you everything that would happen until you die. Is that saying how, or are we talking about the when? Is the when part of this scenario? Because if it is, I'm going to press the button. You can skip all the ads on TV. You dream about them at night. No, that's stupid. Why would I dream about ads at night? That's stupid. You get to travel to any time and space. Another time travel one. Okay, great. But you do not choose where you go or where you end up, and you cannot bring anyone with you. No, that's stupid. Why? If I don't get to choose where I end up if I'm time traveling, then what's the point then? The point of time travel is being able to choose when it's happening. You're paid $140K yearly. That's pretty damn good. But you have to work 66-hour weeks in a sewer. I don't know if it's 66 hours weekly. But I'm pretty sure, sewer and plumbers and jobs like that, I'm pretty sure they get paid quite a handful of money. I don't know if it's 140K yearly. I'm pretty sure it's not. But I know they get paid a pretty good wage, at least from my recollection of what happens. So I'm going to say no. Someone that said in the top comment, they love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's funny. You can enter any anime you choose and live on your own terms. What does my own terms mean? Okay. But you'll die 1 month after airing. Okay. I can enter any anime I choose. My Hero Academia then. Okay. So, right. Ah, damn it. But here you go. This is the anime I choose. My Hero Academia. Alright, so that's the anime I choose. Alright. You can enter any anime I choose and live on your own terms. What does that mean? If we're talking about My Hero Academia, does that mean I get to be a hero? Does that mean I get to choose my quirk? What does living on my own terms mean? But I'll die a month after entering. No. Because if I'm living on my own terms, then I'm not living on my own terms if I'm dying in a month. That doesn't sound like I'm living on my own terms at all. So no. You get $1 billion. Amazing. An absorbent amount of money. But you have severe cold-like symptoms for the rest of your life with no possible chance of a cure. When you say cold symptoms, what do you mean by that? Because, I feel like cold symptoms, at least, for people, it's subjective, and some cold symptoms are different based on the person. Like, for instance, like some people, when they get a cold or sick like that, their nose gets all, red and puffy like a, snowman, right? Or like they've been out in the snow, I should say. But personally for me, the most that happens with me if I get a cold is having a sore throat and, some nasal congestion, and that's it. It'll be severe, obviously. It'll be a lot worse than, just being minimal, but with no possible chance of a cure. So pretty much I'll just have a sore throat forever. Okay, I'll press that button. You never have to sleep again. You live only till 50. Okay, so here's my thing. It says I never have to sleep again. Okay, no, never mind. I was gonna say, do I get consequences like sleep deprivation and like sleep exhaustion, right? Do I have the consequences of not sleeping, like the health consequences? Because it says I never have to sleep again, but like, could that be bad for my body if I don't? You live only till you're 50. No, that's terrible. You get to have sex with Scarlett Johansson, but you have to do it again when she's 80. No, I don't care about that. I don't care about having sets, especially someone like ScarJo, I don't care about that. That doesn't appeal to me at all. So we're moving on with that one. You gain the ability of time travel. Oh, amazing. But you lose your memory for each travel through time. Can I regain my memory? Can it be a Christopher Nolan Memento situation or Odysseus from the Odyssey, a movie that I just saw yesterday, and I feel like my review is a little bit more contrarian, a little bit more critical than other people. I'm not praising it as a masterpiece like how other people are. It's not a bad movie. I just don't think it's a 9 out of 10 like how other people are saying. I think it's in the high 7, low 8 territory. Um, but you'll gain the ability of time traveling. You'll lose your memory. How much memory am I losing? That's another question. Because, like, am I losing, you know, a core memory that I have? Um, am I forgetting people that I know or are close to me? Like, what does losing your memory entail? Like, when you get down to the nitty gritty, what is it really talking about? But also, if I gain the ability of time travel, it doesn't say I have to do it, right? You know, if I get to year like 60 or I'm 70 years old and I use the ability to time travel for the first time, okay, I lose my memory a little bit. But as I'm getting older, it doesn't say I have to do it like, oh, I have to use time travel like once a week or I don't have the ability at all. So unpress the button. I could do it later on in life. I don't have to do it now. You get $1 billion right now as opposed to in next 5 seconds, but okay. You can only spend $1 a day with it. No, what's the point then? What's the point? That defeats the purpose. Right? That defeats the purpose. And it's like I was saying earlier in one of the other questions we had earlier, how if I were to have like an absorbent amount of money like that, I wouldn't just use it on myself with like, cars and houses, that kind of stuff. I would want to help people. And if all I can do is spend $1 a day to help people, that's not really going to do much. So, no, if I got $1 billion, I'd want to do a lot more than $1. You create a cheap and highly accessible vaccine to any and all possible diseases that inflicts human, plants, and animals. But the creation of the vaccine creates economic disaster and halts scientific progress for decades. So it's a vaccine, not a cure. Right? It's not a cure. And I don't know if that's important to distinguish. Um, the creation of the vaccine creates economic disaster and halts scientific progress for decades. I mean, if it's a cheap and highly accessible vaccine, how does it cause economic disaster if it's highly accessible to people? This is worded properly, so I'm gonna say no, because I would hope that if we were to have a vaccine, it would not cause economic disaster and halting scientific progress for decades. Because my thing is, I could have the cheap and highly accessible vaccine, but I would hope scientists later on develop it, use my research and findings and my vaccine, and they develop it to be something even better and grander later on that's even better than what I already did. That's what I would hope for, so no. You lift a very heavy object for a minute, let's say a car, but you have to wait a couple hours before you can use your muscles again. Okay, where's the downside of that? I don't need to lift a car every minute or something like that. Sure, I'm working out quite a bit, but that's, believe it or not, it's not part of my gym routine. Like, okay. There's no slavery on earth, but you drop every sandwich you make. What if I don't make a sandwich? What if I buy it at like a store? Then what? I'm gonna press the button then because I didn't make the sandwich technically. Also, great to have no slavery on earth. I'll buy a sandwich in the future. Yeah, see? Hold up. See, look at that. Top comment. Military advisor. I'll buy a sandwich in the future. See, there we go. You and me, we got the same wavelength. Also, I hope that didn't mess up the recording because I scrolled on the wheel. But you can wear any outfit you want free of charge. This doesn't appeal to me at all because I don't know about you, but I'm not a fashionista expert. I don't believe you come to me for my fashion advice. So this already is out of my niche. But all right. But you have to pick them all now. All of your outfits the rest of your life, and you can't give away or sell any of it, so it spawns on you that disappears the next day. What? So I have to predetermine and plan out my outfits for the rest of my life? No. Because, again, this doesn't apply to me. Like, believe it or not, I don't predetermine or premeditate or plan out what outfit I'm wearing for the day. I literally just go in my closet and then I reach in my closet and whatever my hand touches first is whatever I put on for the day. And that's what happened today. Is this the first outfit that I touched, so I'm going to do this. I didn't plan it out at all. So I don't plan out my outfits already. And you can't give away or sell any of it. Also, no. I wouldn't want that either. Because if something happens, way, way, way late in the future, and I have a child, presumably a boy, but there's no disrespect either way. People can do whatever they want. I would want to pass on like some of my, clothing to my child when they grow up. So no. Shut up, ads. Bastards. You get to see all of human history from a third-person view. You need to see both good and bad. Okay? Where's the downside to this? Because I feel like that's already something that would happen. If I see all of human history, would I not see the good and the bad? Would I not see both perspectives already? Right? Is that not something I would already be doing? Right? I mean, unless I'm misunderstanding the question, let me know if I'm misunderstanding the question. But to me, there's no downside to this. Also, 1 second. There we go. All right. But getting back to this question. So I see all of human history from a third person perspective. I need to see the good and bad. Again, would I not already be doing that if I have a third person view? I would already be seeing the good and bad. So where's the downside to this? You're given a dog or cat that is the breed of your choice, immortal, understands your language, and can answer yes or no questions, and can follow wherever you go, including in death. Okay? There's a 50% chance, but that animal will be retarded and only be a pain to you, and you can't get rid of them. No. What? Why? Um, if they're a pain to me, that doesn't sound like they're the breed of my choice and understands my language. If they're a pain to me, that sounds like the exact opposite. So no. The Force, Jedi, and lightsabers are real, and you become a Jedi. Okay? The government will hunt you down with the goal of figuring out how your abilities in your lightsaber work. I don't know if I want to be a Jedi. Simply because they don't have pretty long lifespans, believe it or not. They die pretty quick, especially in high body counts. So I don't know if I would want to be a Jedi. I don't think I would want to be a Sith Lord either. But the Force would be very cool to have. That would be a very, very cool power to have. I think if I can't have time powers, being able to use the Force and be able to like force pull things and force push things and like force mind control things, that would just be so cool. And hell, if we want to go the dark side route and be able to have like force lightning, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. But the government will hunt you down with the goal of figuring out how your abilities in lightsaber work. I could also, if we're getting granular, I could also use like force mind powers to get the government to not hunt me down anymore if we want to be granular about it. But I'm going to say no, I don't want to be a Jedi because they don't have long lifespans. But if you want to logic it out, you could just say that. You can have sex with any woman you want just by pointing them and asking, but you must watch The Notebook each time before you actually have sex. No, I don't care about that. I don't care about having sex with any woman I want. That doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't care about that. And two, I must watch The Notebook. That also doesn't appeal to me either. That just sounds like a double negative. And normally that's catch 22. I'm contradicting myself because normally double negative means a positive, but not in this situation. Be able to grow any part of your body, it's permanent. Where's the downside? Where's the downside? Because, okay, here's the thing. And no, I'm not going with that after following up with the sets question. But no, like, here's my thing. Be able to grow any part of my body. I would want to grow my legs because I would want to grow taller. So there's no downside. You can turn any completely different person for as long as you want and revert back to your old self. But the more you use this power, the more you forget about your original self. Oh. Oh. That's interesting. You can turn into a completely different person for as long as you want and revert back to your old self. That's cool. Who I would want to turn into? I don't know. I don't know who I want to turn into. That's a very, very good question. As long as I want, interesting. But the more you use this power, the more you forget about your original self. Is there a percentage to this? Like, each time I use this power, I lose, like, 2% of myself, kind of like Voldemort with the Horcrux? Or is it like, I use it once and I lose like 50% of myself? Right? That's my thing. So I'm gonna say yes. Because it doesn't specify how much I lose myself. You can perform any sport perfectly and are the most wanted player throughout the world, but you have one serious sports injury related a year. No, because I don't want to be sporty. You can speak any language in existence, but you can never speak any you already know again. Okay, so you can speak any language in existence, but you can never speak any language you know again. Okay, so in my perspective and my way of life through 27 years, I've been on this humbling rock. The only language I can speak is English. Um, because the only other language I've been exposed to for a good portion of my life is Latin. But the problem is that is a dead language and nobody speaks anymore. So the only language I speak is English. So being able to speak any language, I think is awesome. I think that'll be very cool. And if I were to visit other countries, be able to speak those languages would also be very, very cool as well. Because, for instance, when I went to um, France and Italy in 2017, when I went there, something that happened while we were there is every single time we were on a tour or went into like a restaurant anywhere, it was always kind of awkward to ask for a tour guide or ask for like a waiter or waitress or something like that who was like an English translator and was able to like translate things from French to English or Italian to English. It was always kind of awkward to ask for someone like that. So being able to speak any language, that's gone. So that's great. But also, what about other language besides speaking? Like, could I speak in binary, language of machines? Any language existence? If there's aliens above somewhere in space, could I also speak their language as well? So I see no downside to this. So I can't speak English anymore, but instead I'll be way more diversified and can speak in other languages. I think that's a good trade-off. So yeah, I'll press that button. You'll be the most intelligent person in the world. Am I not already? I'm kidding. It's a joke. Relax. But nobody takes you seriously. Oh. Well, nobody takes me seriously already. So this is a thing that already happens in my life, is nobody already takes me seriously. Because when I talk about Gravity Falls, or I talk about FNAF, or I talk about Doki Doki Literature Club, or any of those interests that I'm very, very zeroed in and passionate about, no one in the friend group takes me seriously and just memes the shit out of it when I take it seriously. So this is already something that's relevant to me in my life right now. So the only thing that happens is I'm just gaining intelligence. Great. So I don't see a downside to this. Shut up, ads. Facebook shuts down. Everyone starts using Tumblr instead, including you. Okay. There's no downside to this. Facebook shuts down. Oh no. A social network that I've not used in over a decade. Okay. And then everyone uses Tumblr instead. I go on Tumblr every now and then to this day. So this is I already go on Tumblr as it is. The only thing that happens is Facebook shuts down again, an app that I don't use in over a decade. So, okay. I don't see a problem with that. You get $20,000, a 50% chance you lose one of your thumbs. No, because 50% chance is a very high number. And plus, $20,000 isn't really going to do a whole lot. Now, if it was like $200 million, that's a different story. Or $20 million, that's a different story. But $20,000, that's not really going to get you that far in the grand scheme of things. You have to sleep for 1 hour to be fully rested, but your socks will always be slightly damp. How much is slightly? Right? How much is slightly? Because just don't wear socks. Easy. Yeah. That's also a good point. That's a very good point. Shout out to you. You'll always be damp. Like, okay. So yeah, don't wear socks. Okay. But also slightly damp. Again, who's to say what slightly damp is? Like, are we talking about it as like a minor inconvenience where you feel it? Or do you have like, I guess this wouldn't be damp then, but do you have like the socks that make that like wet, like swoosh sound every time you step? You know that sound, the swoosh. So, yeah, I'll press that button, sure. Why not? You got $1 million a month, but you have to watch someone die a horrible, tragic death every month. $1 million a month, okay. But you have to watch someone die a horrible, tragic death every month. Do I know this person? Because I feel like that matters. You have to watch someone die a horrible death. Because if it's someone close to me or someone I know, then this is an easy no. Right? But if it's a stranger, then not saying I want to see anybody die, but you get what I mean, right? You're like, that, scenario where it's like, save one loved one, but it's at the cost of, 5 strangers dying or 10 strangers dying. What would you choose? I don't know. I hope that helps my situation by lodging it out. I'm not a terrible person. Do it for 6 months and stop. So I get $6 million. You have to watch someone die horrible death. Again, I wish the scenario pointed out whether you knew the person or not, because I feel like that matters. And if I get $1 million a month, could I know? Okay, here's another question I have. Not only is the person close to me, but here's another question I have. Is it premeditated, predetermined? Do I know who the person is that is dying? And that may not make any sense. So let me try to explain. So hear me out. I get $1 million a month, and I know, Jimmy over there down the street is gonna die at the end of the month. Like, okay. So up until that point, I'm basically with Jimmy. I'm doing stuff with him. I'm doing stuff with his family to optimize his and his family's life up until that point of death. Or is it not possible for me to go down that route? Also, I'm drinking Smirnoff. Mature 21 plus stream. Since this is mature stream, alcohol is involved. Be responsible. Don't drink more than you can handle. All those sort of things. So it says someone at random. If it's at random, I'm gonna say yes, because it's like the previous scenarios that I've talked about, where again, if I'm given a situation where I'm given a butt ton of money, I would not want to use it on all myself. right? I would do charitable work. I would donate it to other people to help them out because, again, I could use the $1 million on, myself. I can buy these, houses, cars, luxury items. But again, what does that do other than being superficial and being an asshole, right? Like, sure, I can spend, a section of the money and, for myself, for my friends, my family, but then the rest of it I can donate to charity and that kind of stuff instead of spending all myself because I don't know, I'm just not that selfish of a person. As long as you can stop it, don't want to do that every month for the rest of your life. That's another good point. Is could you get this to stop? Like you're not receiving $1 million a month anymore. And then nobody dies. That is also a good point. So yeah, I'm gonna press the button. You no longer feel pain and can breathe even if you're in space or underwater. I mean, technically we can breathe in space underwater anyways, but okay. I think I know what you mean, but we move. Your body will never be damaged or injured. You'll become invulnerable. You'll become immortal. What? Where's the downside? I no longer feel pain. I mean, vulnerable. I never get damaged. Is that not what being immortal is? Is that not being immortal? I no longer feel pain. I'm invulnerable. I'm immortal. Is that not the same thing? I mean, if it's different, let me know. Call me on the comments. Call me a big dumbass if I'm wrong and it's totally different. But from my perspective, being invulnerable and being immortal are the same thing. I no longer feel pain. I'm never damaged. I'm never injured. You're invulnerable. Nothing can harm you. Is that not being immortal? Is that not the same thing? Also, if I'm immortal, I'd imagine that means I don't age either because I'm immortal. You literally live forever. That's the definition of being immortal, is you live forever. So I don't see a downside to this. You're basically saying on one side you're immortal, on the other side you're immortal. Unless I'm totally wrong, but I'm gonna press the button because I don't understand what the downside is. You gain all the knowledge of the internet, but you get Tourette's where you randomly shout out set sounds. No, I I wouldn't want to know the knowledge of the internet either because it's all a bunch of beeps and boops and bollygook and a bunch of as the kids would say on this day, brain rot. So the internet is a bunch of tubes already. So no, I wouldn't want to gain all the knowledge of the internet unless I'm thinking about it wrong. I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking about when in terms of the internet. I'm talking about like memes, the internet culture, that kind of stuff. But unless you mean knowledge internet, where the internet is like a search engine for you to like learn things and research things and learn about history. If that's what you mean, then we're having a totally different conversation. And this question, this scenario, I should say, is a lot more of a dilemma to me. If that's what you mean. If it's not the internet culture stuff, then yeah, that's a little bit more interesting and more up my alley. But you get Tourette's where you randomly shout set sounds. Randomly shouting those sounds the rest of your life isn't worth it. Yeah, probably not. But again, that's why I was trying to logic it out and question what does it mean by the knowledge of the internet. Because again, if we're just talking about internet culture and memes and that kind of stuff, that's a double negative where it's like, A, I don't want to learn, the knowledge of the internet and memes and that kind of tube stuff already, because what does that do? What does that gain for you? That's a negative. And then I also don't want to be shouting out set sounds, so there's no positives here, right? So if that's the mindset you're going with it, so that's an easy no. You get to live in a cool adventure video game, okay, as an NPC. No, I wouldn't want to do that. If I got to live in a cool adventure game, what would the game be? What would the game be? Red Dead. No. Assassin's Creed. Black Flag. No. I don't know. But I'll just think about that for a second while I'm thinking about what game it would be. But you get to live in a cool adventure video game as an NPC. No. Because to me, what's the point then? If I get to live in a cool adventure video game, I would want to choose a universe that I would deem as indeed very cool. And if I'm an NPC, then what's the point? Then you're intentionally restricting me in freedom and what I want to do. If I want to go into a cool adventure game, I would want to be the protagonist. I want to be the main character. I want to have all the freedom in the world. If I'm an NPC and I'm deadlocked into doing one thing and not allowed any freedom, anything at all, then what's the point then? You're kind of dangling this freedom of choice in front of me. It's like, yeah, you can go in this cool adventure game, but it's also not worth it because you're not able to do anything. So, no, what's the point? So, no, that's stupid. That's a bad one. Shut up, coupons. You'll be truly happy the rest of your life. You'll fulfill your dreams and you'll be beautiful, kind, smart, but people will be able to read your mind. Oh. You'll truly be happy the rest of your life. You'll be fulfill your dreams. You'll be beautiful, kind, smart. People will be able to read your mind. Yeah, I press the button. What's the downside? Right? Because if I'm truly happy for the rest of my life, that's great. And I feel like that's something that, at least personally for me, that's something that I strive for, is to be happy and to find true happiness. You'll fulfill your dreams. That is also great. You'll be beautiful. I mean, that's more subjective and that can be into, superficial territory. And that's something that's not really important to me, but sure. Okay, we move on. And kind. I feel like I'm a kind person. At least I hope so. And smart. I can be smart at some things. Talking about the FNAF lore for hundreds of hours of my life. So there you go. But people will be able to read your mind. I mean, okay. I don't see a downside here. If people are able to read my mind, they'll look and see a very happy, dream fulfilled, beautiful, kind, and smart person that is happy and content with the life that they live, and they are successful in their own way and they're satisfied with the life that they're living. What is the downside to this? That's what people would see. So yeah. Oh, come on. You bunch of babies. What's the downside? Become great at any online computer game. You mean like this? Because this is technically an online computer game. Everyone will think you hacked or cheated, and they'll say awful things about your mother. No, that's stupid. First of all, I don't care about being great at any online game as is. And it's not just saying any game or any online game, it's computer games specifically. Um, Even though that doesn't really matter. But if it was just simply become great at any online game that already doesn't appeal to me, that's not in my niche, that's not in my crowd. Um, as far as games I play on the channel, I'm not the best at any game that I play, and I am more someone who tries to be positive and try to, share good messages and try to be uplifting and have, chill good vibes all around, as opposed to trying to be the best at something. That is the vibe I go for on the channel whenever I play something like this, or any game for that matter. Um, but that's already something that happens in the online gaming space. If you're great, people automatically assume you hacked or cheated, and people already say things about your mother and your stuff about your family. That's just the online gaming discourse that has just been toxic for decades. So no, you're already not appealing to my crowd. Once you said become great any game, you're already not appealing to me. You'll save the world, but no one will ever know. That's fine. I don't need the credit. Because to me, if I save the world, no one will ever know about it. That's fine. But I can know that I saved the world, and there will be peace and harmony, and people will be going out and about in their peaceful lives, and they may not know what caused it or who was responsible for the work, but deep down I would know. And to me, that is enough. I don't need the internal validation from other people, no. So that's great. All right, let's do like one last one, but it needs to be a good one. Every time somebody asks you a question, you know the answer, you lose a random memory. No, that's stupid. You can jump into any picture or film for as long as you like and switch place with the people inside. You're blind whether the sun comes up. No, that's stupid. Endless banknotes in your wallet. What's a banknote? Hold up. What is a banknote? Hold on, what is it? I've never heard of that. A banknote, commonly called a bill or a note, is a note issued by a central bank or monetary authority. Serving as legal tender, modern banknotes are flat money, meaning their value is based on public confidence in the issuing government rather than being backed by physical precious metals. So, what is it? Type of paper money issued by a bank, payable to the bearer on demand. So, it's just dollar bills. Why don't you just say that then? So a banknote is like just dollar bills. Okay. Why don't you just say that then? Okay. So endless dollar bills in your wallet, but never in the currency of the country you're in. Could I exchange it? Right. Because again, when we went to Italy and France, we had to exchange our US dollars, our US currency, to the currency they use in France and Italy. I can't remember what the currency they use there. I don't believe it's pounds, but regardless, you know what I mean. So that is an option. And two, endless dollars in your wallet. That sounds great, but in this age, in the year 2026, this isn't relevant, because in this age where everything is very, tap to pay, digital, crypto wallets, and all that stuff. You know, these age of like paying things with like dollar bill, like physical money is gone. So I wouldn't want endless banknotes in my wallet anyways because no one carries cash on them anymore. You can do whatever you want, but you'll be alone on deserted Earth. Well, that doesn't sound like I can do whatever I want. If I can do whatever I want, I would want to be not alone. So that's a catch 22. You'll be able to teleport anywhere in the world instantly, be immune from injury from falling, jump extremely high. Okay, those are three separate powers, but okay, we move. But one day a year, you'll experience deliberating pain that is so excruciating you won't be able to move, think, or sleep. You would rather die. Damn. So, here's my thing. You'll be able to teleport in the world instantly. Great. Be immune from injury from falling. Specifically from falling. That doesn't mean you're immune from injuries, though. It just means specifically from falling. And jump extremely high. Like, that's cool. But that, to me, that's the thing I'm, calling out is you're immune from injury from falling, but that doesn't mean you're immune from everything. And one day a year, you'll experience labor and pain that's so excruciating, you won't be able to do anything. And assuming the day is picked at random, you're not able to premeditate or predetermine when the day happens, where it's like, oh, March 27th of 2027 is going to be the day where it happens. So up until that day of March 27th, I'm able to live my life up. And then once March 27th happens, I'm ready to go. Like, all right, bring it on me. Right? Assuming that's not how it works. It's picked at random. So I'm going to leave this question with you all is what would you pick in this scenario? You're able to teleport in the world instantly, be immune from injury from falling, specifically falling, not everything, and jump extremely high, but one day a year, assuming at random, you have excruciating pain, you can't do anything, you would rather die. I want to leave this question with you. What would you do in this scenario? I'm very curious to let you know your thoughts.